Everybody, welcome back to Video Game So today I got a fun and exciting episode for you guys today, and one that you've been asking for. We're doing Super Nintendo Hidden Gems Part 1, because you guys are always asking for recommendations on games. I'm doing one video per platform, and if those do well, maybe you'll see another one. And I'm starting right off with one of the deeper cuts, and one of my favorite games that pretty much no one ever seems to know about. This is Ghost Sweeper Mikami. Now this is based on an animated series that I know absolutely nothing about. The only reason I know about this game is because I played it in previous years on the Super Nintendo. It is basically feeling like an anime style Castlevania run and gun in all of the best ways possible. The graphics are incredible, the storyline's in Japanese, so I have no idea what's going on, but it just 100% is an amazing game. I feel like 9 out of 10 of you are never going to know this thing exists if I don't tell you about it or you don't see it in another video. But for every game in this list, leave me a comment and you tell me, did you know it exists and have you ever played it? And I would say graphically this game is outstanding as well. It is a bummer that this one really isn't well known, but that's why I'm doing this video, to introduce you guys to games you've maybe never heard of before. Now Ghost Sweeper Mikami, you can clearly tell it does have that Castlevania vibe going on, but it also almost has like a Contra vibe in the run and gun section. In between every single level you're going to get some story. What's going on I have absolutely no idea, but it is fun and animated, and you also get a new costume every single level. You can clearly tell that there is a certain theme going on with the main character, but outside of that, this is just a really fun side-scrolling horror action platformer in all of the best ways possible. So for every game like Super Castlevania 4, even Dracula X, which I do consider a good game, there's something like Ghost Sweeper Mikami that 100% deserves mention and never gets it. Bosses like this with the transparencies, this kind of doll child figure with these glowing eyes and these claws coming at you, it is just so much fun, and those dancing dolls coming down definitely feel a little bit inspired by Castlevania as well. This one is just one of those games that pretty much everyone I've ever introduced it to that's played it has enjoyed it. And where else are you going to be able to run across a roof on a gigantic cat, or maybe the actual character is tiny? Hard to say in this world, but I'm pretty sure it is just a massive cat. And let's be honest here, who wouldn't want to ride around the back of a massive cat in a shmup style level, kind of just shooting enemies as they come along? And that really is the thing about Ghost Sweeper Mikami. Every single part of it is charming, from the graphics to the gameplay to the setting. This is every bit as good as those other games in the same genre that would be listed as some of the best Super Nintendo or Super Famicom games of all time, but for some reason or another this one still seems to be very obscure. Even if you try to look up some of the hidden gem lists for Super Nintendo and Super Famicom, it is exceedingly rare that this one actually shows up, and that's always been surprising to me. Maybe in Japan absolutely everyone knows about this one, but I feel like you're not going to have heard about this game until you watch this video, so take it from me, all the games on this list are going to be absolutely amazing, but this one in particular is just some of the most fun you can have if you want a Castlevania style game that has gigantic cats that you can ride on. Now moving to the next game in the list, and a little bit on trend as well, this is Manju or Manjo. I've gotten two different pronunciations offline, so I've said both and hedged my bets. Hopefully one is correct. This is another action platform, and it's another horror game, but it plays completely different than the first game I showed you. This game is just a straight up, in my opinion, a 10 out of 10, and it's a game that I never hear anyone mention. That's also weird to me. What other game is going to let a giant sandworm grub chase you down and you have to escape from it? Now this title is just absolutely hard in all of the best 16-bit ways possible. Add to that this really fun horror aesthetic, a lot of fun enemy sprites, and just a straight up charming story, and you're 100% just going to be in for the ride here. And this one has been translated to English as well, so you're going to be able to understand this story, because this was a Japanese exclusive. It did get a re-release some years ago, and I did pick that up so I could have it on my shelf. I've been a fan of this game for probably 15 years now, since I first heard of it, and it's definitely one of these games you have to play. If you play one of the games from this hidden gem list, definitely make it Manjo or Manju, because you're just going to absolutely love it. Just be prepared for some straight up difficulty though. This does not hold your hand in any way, shape, or form. You're going to have to practice, you're going to have to get good if you actually want to see the credits scroll. But that is a lot of fun of games like this from the Super Nintendo era. You have to get good if you want to actually see the game get beaten. It also has a very unique and very atmospheric soundtrack, so go ahead and listen for 45 seconds, but come back. I have two more games to show you, one of which is horror and one of which is not. But enjoy. Now, I don't know if I would say that that's one of the best soundtracks on the Super Nintendo or Super Famicom, but it is one of the most unique with the dissonant tones in the background. Kind of sounds both melodic as well as completely kind of jarring to the ear at the same time. But as far as the context of the game is concerned, it 100% works for the visuals on screen. And why is this entire city ruined here? Why have you grown fairy wings and have a new attack? You're going to have to play Manju to actually understand why that is. I don't want to spoil too much here. One of my favorite things about the game are the bosses. They are just straight up challenging at certain points in time, and with this Mode 7 eyeball here just flashing around and spinning, trying to hit you with his laser beam. Every single level in this game is new and unique. All of the sprites are just absolutely that 16-bit horror aesthetic that you love. This game just has nothing about it that I would say I don't love. It's just one of those things. I'm always surprised this one is considered a hidden gem. I feel like it is so good. Absolutely everyone should know about it. So again, leave me that comment down below. Did you know about this one or not? Let's move to a game that probably at least a decent amount of you know, and if you've never played it, I can assure you you're 100% missing out on one of the best Super Nintendo games of all time. This is Demon's Crest. It's basically like a Metroidvania from Capcom in the Ghouls and Ghosts franchise, and this one track right here is my favorite piece of music ever put to Super Nintendo. So another soundtrack sample and I'll be right back. Now, I totally understand music is subjective and what I love you might hate, but in my opinion, at least in my ear, that is my favorite single piece of music ever put to a Super Nintendo game across the hundreds upon hundreds of tracks that I have heard over time, both as having a Super Nintendo as a kid and obviously being a collector. It just sounds incredible to my ears, and honestly, Demon's Crest has everything you'd possibly want. If you're into the Metroidvania genre, you have a completely open world after the first level. You have to get different power-ups to progress to different areas. Just basically think of this thing as something like Symphony of the Night, except by Capcom, not Konami, and taking place in the Ghouls and Ghosts franchise, and not something like Castlevania. I always wanted to get a Demon's Crest too, because it was just so much fun when I played it back in the day, and this is one where I feel like a lot of people talk about the game. I hear mentions of it, but for the most part, when I asked people if they played it, they said no, they just know about it. And this one has a ton of content. It's got a ton of incredible different levels to go to, a ton of power-ups and secrets, and like I think 4 different endings, some good, some bad, depending on how well you do in the game and how much you complete. And that should be something that is applauded, because so many games on the Super Nintendo outside of RPGs would be something like action platformers. You can beat them in 30 to 45 minutes. Even if you know this game front to back and you want to do something like a speed run, it is going to be over an hour, and if it's your first time playing it, you'll probably spend like 10 to 12 hours with this one, not only with the challenge but also understanding where you need to go. And because it does take place in the universe of Ghouls and Ghosts, or Ghosts and Goblins, you're going to get a lot of familiar people like Red Armor here, and that is just great. Him getting his own game on a console, not just on the Game Boy releases, is a ton of fun, and I actually made an entire retrospective on the Ghouls and Ghosts franchise. Probably show you that starting maybe October of this year, because it is horror themed. That's how much I love all the games. That's how much I love something like Demon's Crest. It is so fun to play, but honestly, just like it is fun to play and listen to, the graphics are outstanding in this one as well. I love all of the different muted colors that have that horror aesthetic. I love all of the different levels and areas you're going to, like this ruined town here with a castle. You'll see you do get different crest powers, and now we can become a different gargoyle or Red Armorer, and that's going to help us progress in the game. And that sense of discovery and progression is really what makes this game hit so well. Just like playing Symphony of the Night or some other Metroidvania, you're going to know there's an area you can go to, but you can't access it quite yet. So if that gameplay hook and loop is something that you crave and you're looking for another game, especially on Super Nintendo that has that for you, then Demon's Crest is 100% the name of the game you have to play. If there is one game off this list that you should check out, definitely this one, but honestly I think I've said that about every game at this point in time. That's how much I love each and every one of these titles, and this one is just special. It was definitely a later release in the Super Nintendo's life cycle, so I feel like a lot of people had moved on from the hardware at this point in time, and maybe that's why it is actually a little bit of a deep cut. You can leave me a comment down below and you tell me if you ever played Demon's Crest before and what did you think. I feel like of all the games on this list, this is obviously the one that has the most potential for people who have actually played it, but even still I feel like there's a lot of people out there that maybe know about it and just haven't checked it out. So again, money back guarantee, you're going to have fun with this one, but because you don't pay me for these videos, that means absolutely nothing, and you get to decide for yourself if you like it or not. Let's move to the fourth and final game in this first Hidden Gem series for Super Nintendo and Super Famicom. This is a game that I'm going to try to pronounce and probably get wrong. Ganbare Daiku no Gensan. If I got that right, leave me a comment down below, and if I got it wrong, I'm sure I'll hear the comments down below anyway, because my Japanese pronunciation is a 0 out of 10 any day of the week and twice on Sundays. But this is another game that I feel like I never hear anybody talk about. It's a super fun action platformer, has that kind of super deformed or chibi look to these sprites. It's got challenge, it's got fun, it's got everything you want out of a 2D platformer, especially if you want to play a new game that you probably never heard of before. Like every other game in this video, leave me that comment down below and you tell me, did you know this existed? Have you played it? And have you ever seen it before? I love kind of keeping track of who knows what and just getting an idea if my hidden gems actually are that hidden, or if a lot of my viewership knows about these things. But do remember, it's not just you, my constant viewer, that knows about a lot of games that watch these things. It's also people that might be getting into the Super Nintendo for the first time, either in Mr. FPJ or just kind of revisiting a nostalgic console that don't game every single day. And again, I wanted to see if this format works for the channel, because a lot of hidden gem videos will do 10 games in like 12 minutes, spending about a minute on each one. I really want to hone down in at least for 3 minutes on each game why I love them, and I would say the soundtrack definitely is part of that for me here. 45 seconds, last soundtrack sample, and I'll be right back. Pretty charming soundtrack for sure, and if you can't tell already seeing this clip here, this entire video was a theme, even if the last game was a secret theme. We have 3 horror games and 2 games that feature super deformed cats, one that you ride on and one that you fight, because I always love having a little fun with the editing, even if no one ever really notices. Because you guys always ask, I did leave a list of the games that I'm covering here in the description below, because for the Japanese ones, knowing how they're actually spelled is going to mean the difference between you finding the game and having no clue what it is. But honestly, this game has everything you need out of a 2D platform, especially if you want those bright cheery graphics. You have these stages where you're on a motorcycle, you're going to have a ton of different fun and weird bosses, you're going to have a fun enemy roster to fight against as well. This one just keeps a smile on your face, wondering what it's going to show you next as far as the weirdness is concerned, because it's married to an awesome 2D platform. You know you're going to have a good time. But those are my 4 picks, at least for this first episode of Super Nintendo and Super Famicom Hidden Gems. If this video does well, definitely we'll probably see a second part, so leave me some recommendations down below. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.